and welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. We're going to introduce you to just a handful of our adoptable pets in this episode. Over the last couple of years, we've had an increasing number of FCAC residents and then alumnus that are FIV positive. And our current FIV positive cat is Onyx. And Onyx is hard to miss because he is one of our most vocal cats. He is very eager to tell you that he wants your attention. He's also very vocal when he gets the zoomies, and he has the best zoomies. He is a very handsome guy. He has these really great kind of amber colored eyes that go great with his silky black fur, and he's very confident. He is not really afraid of anything. He's ready for anybody. He's gonna greet guests at the door. He's definitely a guy that's gonna, cruise right into a home environment and be ready to just take it on as his own. He's very curious. He's very playful. He does really like affection. He wants to kind of be in your space, but not necessarily be restrained. So he'll, it's okay if it's his idea, right? He will climb into your lap or when he's in an elevated cage, kind of jump into your arms if he wants that. But he doesn't want somebody to force him to do things that he's not interested in. He's a cat with a lot of potential, and I know that some people might be worried about adopting a cat with an FIV positive status. But as I mentioned, we've been doing that a lot, and there's very low risk of transference to another cat. He could live in a home with other cats as long as that home environment is stable, and he's doing really well. Again, it's just, paying attention to secondary infections, making sure that he's getting his annual checkups. But otherwise, he should, live a long, happy, healthy life. And if you want that life to be with your family, then you're going to need to go to visit fcac.as.me to book an appointment to meet Onyx. More often than not, conversations about counter surfing and begging are things that we think of when we're talking about adoptable dogs. But Blanca, our beautiful 2-year-old brown tabby, is an animal that unfortunately made her way to our facility from her previous home because she was a bit of a counter surfer herself. Some people are more upset about those things than others, and some people are more willing to make compromises. So, keeping things in containers or putting them in cabinets or pantries. And if, that's something you're willing to do, then maybe Blanca's a good fit for you. She does have that one trait, but otherwise she is a fantastic cat. Not only is she gorgeous, she's very confident, she's very affectionate, she's very playful. She is right at the front of her cage. If she's hanging out in her hammock and she sees somebody walk by, she jumps down. We gave her a new toy today, and she was very eager to kind of explore and engage with that. The volunteers have been having a lot of fun engaging with her. So she has all of these really, really great qualities, and she has one thing that she just kind of needs an owner who's willing to kind of compromise and keep, bread and keep an eye on things when you're cooking dinner and things like that on the counter. And if you're willing to do that, to have an amazing pet like Blanca in your household, then you're going to need to go to visit fcac.as.me to make that appointment to meet her and potentially make her part of your family. We don't have very many senior cats on our adoption floor right now, but the newest senior cat to make their way to our facility is Monroe, and she is a beautiful black cat at 10 years old. She is super sweet, very affectionate, and there is something to be said for the senior cat, right? I feel like I talk about it all the time, but their personalities are set. They're not as into running all over the house and doing crazy zoomies and, playing with everything. They want your affection. They want to sit with you on the couch. They want to play, but they're not super high energy. And that this is how they're going to be. And there's, if you're looking for something specific, then an older cat, where that that's who they are, is going to be a good option for you. Or if you're, a new to pet ownership and you want something that's going to be a little bit more even keeled, then a senior cat is also a great choice. Sometimes they can have some medical things, but looking through her medical, she, is in good health. She looks much younger than she is if you're just looking at her face. And behaviorally, she was a little bit nervous when she got here, which is reasonable. She's used to being in a home. But then once she's settled in, she's very affectionate. She wants you to pet her. She's, able to be held and wants that interaction with you. And the volunteers are really starting to enjoy her, and that she's making her a stop on their visit through the adoption floor. And if you want her permanent stop to be in your home, you can go to, again, our booking site, which is visitfcac.as.me. While Bob is brand new to the adoption floor, he's actually one of FCAC's longest residents at over 50 days right now on the cat floor. And that's because when Bob came in, he had a condition called entropion. And what that means is that the eyelashes actually face inward. So every time, the cat moves, blinks, his eyelashes are rubbing and scratching and irritating his cornea. So before we could find him a home, we needed to make him more comfortable. So we actually did that surgery for him, and we did that repair, and he spent some time recovering. And now that he's fully healed, he's ready to start his new life. While Bob's eyes are fully healed, what's going to be something that he needs ongoing is just, he has what we would, medically classify as like goopy eye, which is not uncommon in cats that have more white. So he just needs to have his eyes wiped, but that's no big deal. But, especially for all you're going to get in the Bob package, he is the most affectionate guy. He just wants to be petted and loved on all the time. He's got a great purr, makes excellent biscuits, will cozy up on your lap. When you try to play with him, he's just following your hand, trying to nudge his face on your hand because he just wants you to pet him. He is the sweetest guy. Also, interested in exploring and being curious and hanging out in his bed and taking some naps. We think that he would be a great fit for families with children of any age at this point, now that he's settled in and his eyes are healed. But one thing we have learned about Bob is that he's really not into dogs. So Bob would prefer to have a home without dogs in it. And if you are just as in love with Bob as the rest of our staff is, head on over to visitfcac.as.me to book an appointment and get that application in for Bob. Kirby is another one of our gorgeous brown tabbies. He's got great green eyes, he's got awesome markings, and he's a young guy at just 2 years old, and he's going to be a great addition to any household. When Kirby was first out on the adoption floor, he was a little bit more nervous. Like, he liked attention, but he was just a little bit more reserved. It can be kind of overwhelming to make your way out onto the adoption floor. But then he got a cold and he had to go to our sick room for a period of time, and he really settled in. And once he came back out onto the adoption floor, he was like a whole new guy. He was much more confident, much more playful, much more affectionate. And we're really hoping that now that he's really comfortable in his environment, we're going to be able to find him a home quickly. Right at the front of his cage, just totally soaking up all of the attention the volunteers are giving him, rolling around, playing with his toys, really showing off, that young cat energy. But he also has other cute little things that he likes to do. Like when he's sleeping, he likes to kind of sleep under blankets, like tuck himself in at night. So he has some really endearing qualities too. He's just very friendly. He kind of checks all of the boxes in terms of what people are looking for a cat. He is super handsome. He's very friendly. He's affectionate. He is playful. And he has all these cute little, Kirby qualities. And if you want those Kirby qualities to be in your home, you can go to visitfcac.as.me to book an appointment to meet with him. You can also find downloadable applications there, so you can have those filled out and ready before you stop by. Many of the animals we've been showcasing on the show today are super confident cats. And our last guest is one that's a little bit more reserved, takes a little bit longer to kind of settle in and warm up in new situations. And that's Lady. She is one of our kind of, I guess we would say, middle-aged cats at about 5 years old, but they still qualify for the senior discount. If you adopt here at our facility, cats from 5 to 9 get $20 off, and cats 10 and up get $40 off their adoption fees. She is a very sweet girl, but she's not necessarily the cat that's right at the front of the cage trying to get your attention and reaching for you. She's more content to kind of hang out, on her bed or in her hammock. And then when you come in and engage her, she enjoys the attention. She enjoys the affection. She kind of needs you to pull her out of her shell a little bit. But she, is, a cat that you can kind of pick up. She's comfortable with that. She's affectionate. She is friendly, but she's just going to need a little bit of time to settle in. And she's a great example of the cat that we would definitely recommend kind of starting her in a smaller room and getting her comfortable, and then increasing her space so that she's not overwhelmed, and understanding that some cats, once they're out of the shelter in this very stressful environment, they're instantly, super outgoing. And some cats, any new environment takes them a little bit of time. So just being patient with that. But, we don't have any restrictions on the type of home that she can go to in terms of, children, things like that. It's just being aware that she might need some quiet time at first. She might take a couple of weeks to kind of really show you her full personality, and that's okay. And if you have the patience and the time to let her blossom and you want to do that, you can go to visit fcac.as.me to begin that process. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed meeting these amazing adoptable pets. Keep tuning in for more.